Yo, welcome back again to Skinny Black's Lounge. You know, my name is Rob, not KKK.
Yeah.
My name is Rob, aka Skinny Black. To my left,
Rennie. Yeah.
okay. To his left,
JT, the period is silent. Hi, Mom. Don't edit that fuck up.
and yeah, don't do that. So we got a couple of things we want to dive into today, this evening, and so let's start out with BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, and so I hear this term all the time, right? I hear it quite frequently in the work that I do, and it started to bother me, and you know, we've had some conversations. I want to share it and put it on Skinny Black. So when we talk about some of the social justice things that are happening in the world, when we talk about any type of justice or equity, that conversations that happen in the United States especially, very frequently this term BIPOC comes up: Black, Indigenous, people of color. Mm-hmm. And what doesn't sit right with me is the fact that the things that we're talking about, it's the Black people who are catching the most hell, and the Indigenous. I gotta say, Black and Indigenous are disproportionately catching hell more than those other people of color. So when you say BIPOC, you out already from the jump, from the get-go, you flatten the issues for everybody across the board, when there needs to be some specificity and some attention given to Black and Indigenous folks, especially Black folk, if we're talking about just sheer numbers, and we'll talk about LA. So I just want to get y'all opinions on that, see how it's sitting with y'all.
We can speak directly to the who is more adversely affected in that space. And then from that, we can jump on to the who's putting in the most work to actually effectuate change in those areas. So what we have is Black people historically organizing, trying to effectuate change through protest, through social change via all of these different means of peaceful means of protest. I mean, we're not out here tearing things up for the most part. You know what I mean? We should do it more, considering what's happened to us. But you know, Howard Bryant likes to say, "What change ever happened without protest?"
Right.
When did the power structure, white male society, ever cede power without protest? Like, when did they just say, you know what, man, you guys have been some really, really, obedient darkies. Let me throw you a bone. Like, that's never, ever happened.
Ever.
In the history of histories, has the people who were in power relinquished any of that? And we can look at it in the most obvious sense. We can go right back to the election, the 2020 presidential election. We can go right back to that space where Black men voted in the 90th percentile Democrat, and then we went to 86%, right? 6%. Did you see the 6% growth in Black men who voted Republican or Trump? There's no one really identifies that data. Forget that Black women had a 6% reduction also. Went from like 98 to 92. Forget that. But let's really talk about the people of color aspect of that portion of that data, because let's talk about the 33% Asian that voted Republican and Trump, completely against their interests. Let's talk about the 37% Latino that voted against their own interests. No one says anything about that. And yet at the same time, those very same people will pull that by POC card/minority card when it's convenient for them to slide into that space created through our sacrifice.
Did they vote against their interests?
Actually, no, they did not vote against it. They're using both sides of the coin to benefit them and playing preferred minority status and wielding that against us via the structure. So they're playing right in the line in their part, doing exactly what's most beneficial to them. So you would be exactly
I'm
correct.
just saying, a lot of Asian folks thought they had honorary white status till Stop Asian Hate came out a couple weeks back.
Till the Kung Flu came?
Yeah, until all that hit. And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, you know, it's not just me buying a soda at your liquor store. You know, I'm just saying, what do you call it, BIPOC? BIPOC, whatever. BIPOC, Tupac, whatever.
Yeah,
yeah, popcorn. It don't make no difference. This is just the latest iteration of anything but black. Or let me hitch my struggle or my whatever thing to this wagon that's already been established, right? All of a sudden, America was a great place to become an immigrant after the Civil Rights Movement.
Oh, no doubt.
Wasn't nobody hopping on boats and planes when people was catching hell in them streets.
Nobody want to catch this smoke.
Listen,
Check the data. Check the data.
The data.
Check the data after
I looked at that
1968.
film of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It looked real black and white up there.
Whole lot of black.
They was like, damn, them niggas getting their ass whooped. About another 10 years, we coming. And then all of a sudden, now we on BIPOC. Right? And that's not to say that people don't have their issues, people don't have their struggles, people don't have their things they go to. But it's so easy to hitch that wagon, right? Mm-hmm. To the struggles of black folks that have already been established, that's already been the movement, that were here first. Now, I don't have no problem with our indigenous brothers and sisters riding with us.
Not at all.
Right? But it's a whole lot of other folks that want to get on and off. But here's the issue. I've been black my whole life. I can't stop. So when you decide that this doesn't benefit you, then you're going to jump off the wagon. All right?
But when you need some backup,
right,
you're calling us. You're calling the people who have only had equal access in theory to education for 57 years. In theory, not in practice, in theory. Because the three of us here at this table are old enough to go on to de facto segregated schools.
Well, I mean, it's like those people that quote Dr. King, content of your character versus color skin, but they don't quote Dr. King, who was also for universal basic income. He was also anti-war, right? He was income equality. Now, I'm not saying I support all that stuff, but I recognize all the things that man was. I just don't use one quote for my own purposes, right? And that's what that BIPOC is. If BIPOC was true unity, okay, and he came out with an album, I rock it. All right? But that album ain't coming out.
Well, and here's the crazy irony of it all. Did you want to finish that point?
No, that was it, man.
I just want to just point out the crazy irony of it all. To your point, as far as like when we had the immigration boom,
1968,
right? So right after all the quote unquote Great Society laws and shit, right? Here's the thing. Here's the irony of it all. If we solve the black shit, everybody should be.
Everybody benefits from it.
Because what's happening is, from the hundreds of years that white body folk was shitting on black folks, they were practicing like a motherfucker, right? So now when other folk start catching this heat, because more of them are here now after 1968, and like, oh shit, man, we need to get our shit. Well, actually, if you focus on the black shit, all this other shit might clear for you.
For instance, bilingual education all falls under the Civil Rights Act. It didn't exist until the Civil Rights Act allows for that to come forward. All of the disabled person legislation all falls under the Civil Rights Act. Now,
Equal protection.
In its inception, was that the goal? Was that what they were thinking? Were they trying to be BIPOC when those were created?
Nah.
No, not at all. But everybody benefited from it, and we benefited from it the least. The least.
Okay, so what we're saying is, BIPOC is folks have learned to run the white women game on being a minority. Number one beneficiaries of affirmative action.
White women.
I would invite people to read We Were Her Property, so you can learn about white woman slave ownership. They act like they wasn't packing lunches for the lynchings in the civil rights movement and taking the kids with them. And every racist, segregationist, murderer had a white mama. And if the woman is the first teacher in the home, what were they teaching? Throw the rock, hide your hand, and when these benefits come out, we are minorities, and I've seen the most staunch white womanists stand in the streets and yell for their rights and then take that home to their husband and keep their family going. So now they doubled up on your black ass.
And if they were really, really down for equal rights, why did they kill ERA? Why is it still short of being amended in the number of states for it to become an amendment? Why is it not the 28th?
Well, part of the problem is folks listening to us think you talking about baseball, talking about ERA, because you know we know every thing that happened on all 1811 hip hops, but we don't know what's happening to our people. But continue.
Yeah, that's it. That's the point.
I'm just saying.
Well, and to your point, the percentages of white women who voted for Trump, and then voted for Trump in November. And then was part of the largest women's marches worldwide in January.
Well, this is my side note, just a little pet peeve. Race is a social construct. Okay, granted. But you white motherfuckers never forget you white.
Never.
It's a social construct that y'all made, right? You forget that part of the sentence.
Yeah.
You made it.
Social construct and social contract that you're holding everyone to.
Yeah.
It's a contract. It is the law of the land. You know, it is like they could say whatever they want. No, critical race theory. They don't even know what critical race theory is. They have no idea what the definition of it is. But you know what I know about critical race theory? I know if my wife and my daughter go to the emergency room, even if they had universal health care, even if they were guaranteed health care when they walked in there, they were going to get less care and will be treated with less regard than a white child and a white woman when they walk in there. You can't legislate that out. You can create as many benefits as you want, but white is still going to white on top of that.
Hey man, black people ain't giving up Red Rooster and Lowry's, and white people ain't giving up being white.
Yeah, well, can't argue with that.